Countyfairgrounds and Cool K here. Do I have the one, the only Kenton Knepper on the phone with me?
Kenton Knepper, yes you do.
Well, hello, Mr. Knepper. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. How are you doing, Cool K?
Oh, Cool K's busy as usual.
I hear that.
Okay, so you're a pretty famous guy in a lot of ways. I know you're a mentalist and a magician, but we're going to talk today about the fact that you're a pianist and you play some kind of unusual kinds of music. So how did you get started doing this?
Well, when I began doing magic, I was also doing music. So I learned both when I was very, very young. My first paid show of magic, I was 8 years old. I was playing, piano by then. What happened was that my piano playing eventually kind of evolved. I listened to a lot of complicated music, even rock and roll was complicated that I listened to. And it just kind of grew with me. It was something really important to me. And so over time, what happened is I quit taking lessons. I started playing a Hammond organ too. And I realized that I just like to write music. And then of course, once I wrote it, I wanted to perform it. And it's like I turned on a valve and it's just never stopped. What happened is, I became very well known in magic and mentalism, but so I put the music aside for a while. And now that I've accomplished so much with magic and mentalism, it was just time to turn on the music faucet again.
Yeah, what I was going to ask you, and I'm a little bit curious about, it's kind of unusual, I think, isn't it, to have an 8-year-old get so involved in something like that?
I suppose so. I mean, for me, it wasn't. I was a really intense kid. Apparently, I was very nice and kind and shy, but I was very introspective. And so music was just the right way for me to let out deeper feelings and emotions and levels that I was connected to. And so, magic was an easier path as a kid to get people's attention and have a little bit of work. So that was like a simple thing to do that was easy. The music business is, was a little harder. It's not like you can jump online like you can now. So magic and mentalism took over. I'm kind of known as the godfather of mentalism and magic and mentalism, world. But the music is always been there. It's always been vital to me. And I've had a lot of musicians around me over the years, and they all kept saying, when are you going to do something? So I finally got to an age where I went, you know what? Now's the time to do something. So I have.
Hey, Mr. Kenton, I got news for you. I've interviewed a heck of a lot of magicians, and I have heard some really wild stories.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's for sure. But I am a member of the Magic Castle and the Magic Circle in London and all of that. But for me, there was real magic in music, and to me, that's what fascinated me most. Was that. And the trick magic was really meant to kind of allude to something else, to something that I was feeling. And music really said it, music. And I learned I could really shift people, make big changes with people doing music.
Yes, I will agree with that. I play piano also. I'm not really good. I'm not nowhere as good as you, but I do agree. You can put emotionalism in it, and you can really affect people's emotions.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely.
Okay, so do you write all your stuff?
Yes. I don't cover anybody else's music. I respect and admire a lot of people, but I never cared that much about playing other people's music. It was always about playing my own. And that keeps me busy enough because I wrote 60 songs in the last year and a half. So it's like keeping up with what comes through is enough of a task. And then, of course, recording them is a whole nother issue. We're in the midst of getting a new album done right now, and I've had two sound engineer masters over the years. One was Trent Wrench, who was there in the early days for me and really helped. He was instrumental in me finding my sound, and he was not going to let off until I really got it. So he's like vital in all of my earlier works and making my sound happen. And I also have a guy who worked at Abbey Road Studios until some health issues kept him from staying there. He's now out doing his work on his own, a guy by the name of Tom Bleasdale in Britain. And Tom, you know, he's not only a mastering engineer, he really loves music too, and he understands my sound, and so he's able to pull things out. So we are in the midst of, he just sent me over some tracks today, and we are in the midst of finishing up a new album that we hope to get out this year soon.
Okay, Kenton, do you remember what your first paid-for musical performance was?
I honestly don't. It's funny, I remember my first Magic one. I don't remember my first musical performance. What I tell you what I do know, though, when I decided I'd finally, put it out there to the universes that, okay, I was ready to go back out and do music now. I hadn't really told anybody, but it was in my mind, and I put that thought out there that, okay, now's the time to make the changes. And a friend of mine in Vegas, who's a magician, said, hey, will you come up and do this event, but would you mind doing something with music as well as magic, like combine them?
Oh.
I don't know how. He said, you know how to do that stuff. I said, sure, okay. So I went up to Las Vegas, and that was the first time I came out doing the new stuff, the new way, and did a little bit of mentalism that turned into a piano thing. That's become one of the trademarks that I do. And so I started back out, coming out this time, really starting in Vegas. And then I got home, and within months I was asked to be on a stage here in Phoenix, and recorded as part of a musical tribute for a lot of musicians, well-known musicians on a local level, but that was also syndicated around the world. So I was on a syndicated show in a live theater right after that, playing a Bosendorfer piano for those people who love pianos. My favorite piano, by the way. And so, I mean, I took off the grind. It just took off running. And as soon as I did, I met a person who had worked at A&M Records in the hallway, and he wanted to know more about my playing after he saw me on the stage in Phoenix, and it just kept snowballing.
Mm-hmm. Were you nervous at all playing your first performance?
No, not when I decided to come back out and do music. I was when I was a little kid, yeah. But now, the way I play is so integral and it's such a part of me. It's so integrated that for me it's more of a ceremony. So it isn't about showbiz to me. It's more about I'm coming out and we're going to spend time together for an hour and a half or whatever with some people and change our lives for the better, and feel better and let go of things and do really incredible magical things. And I get to work a little bit of magic here and there into the performance, which is great because, music, when I was growing up, music theory used to be so dry and boring, and people would talk about these things. They'd be like, oh, I want to play, but I can't listen to all this. And so part of my job when I perform is to give people a tiny bit of music theory, but things they don't know about. Like, for example, the classical composers, one of their talents was improvisation. And, nowadays we think of classical music having to be played exactly the way it was written, but that is not how classical composers played. So that's kind of important to know, that they had to be good at making things up on the spot, even within the construct of their own pieces, or that they played different pieces or used different scales to honor certain planets, or certain vibrations, Boy, if they had taught me that in music when I was a kid, they would have got my attention. So So I show people like, hey, here's one of my scores, and the score will be nothing but planets. But that's how I sometimes score things to play a piece.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers and sisters? I'm curious.
I have one sister who's about 8 years younger than me.
And what does she do?
She has just retired. She's a teacher.
Okay.
She was a French teacher. She lived in France a couple different times in her life, and is living in the Midwest now, where we grew up. And she's retired and having a great time with gardening and helping people garden and do all that kind of stuff. She's always been very, very active and very, very intelligent. So, but she's very different. We're very different in a lot of ways, but she appreciates all the creative stuff I do. I appreciate all the things she does.
Hey, Mr. Kenton, are you married?
I am not. I have been. I'm not now.
Do you have kids?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Nope, my music is pretty much my kids at this point.
Yeah, I have gotten some really weird answers and responses for that question from a lot of famous people throughout the country. So that's why I asked. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's common for a lot of us who are single, didn't have physical children, often talk about their art as their children. So I think of every act of creation as kind of that. But it's also anybody I meet, that I work with, by that I mean play music for. That job is to change lives for the better. So I think I'm constantly active in making a difference in life, and that matters to me more than anything.
Yeah. Now you're talking about mentalism again, right?
Well, real mentalism, because, and that's the thing about piano. I'll give you a quick story. I talk about this in performance, but, when Sufi musicians first came to the United States, the reviews were, we don't understand this. They show up, they tune their instruments for an hour, and then they play one song and they leave. This is so weird. And the Sufis had to teach the American public that, no, that's not what they were doing. They weren't tuning their instruments, they were tuning the audience. And once everybody was in tune, they played a song of celebration.
Right.
And that's really what I do, is I don't play music, I play audiences. And that's why I get such dramatic shifts from people and why they feel so deeply relaxed and things change in their lives and things, the pains go away and all sorts of stuff. It's because I'm attuned to the audience. And literally, if somebody gets up and goes to the restroom or something, the piano will play different for me. It just does. So it's a really important symbiotic relationship that I have with an audience. It's not just an ego performance at all. It's anything but that.
Yeah, well, Mr. Kenton, that sounds like mentalism to me.
It's its own form of real mentalism, yes. It's vibrational. Music is that, right?
Yes, I agree with that. You can really relax people and make them feel things if you can play the piano like that. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. Okay, so where have you played that you've enjoyed the most, and where would you like to play that you haven't had the opportunity? Well, lots of places I play that I love, but every place has a different vibe, and it really depends on who's there, the audiences that are there. One of the places I really want to play in the future is a place called the Paramount Theater, which is a gorgeous theater that I grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Grew up seeing lots of symphonies and lots of famous performers there, and it's still there. It's still beautiful, and that is a place that I would love to go back home and just have a day or two of getting to do concerts there. That I look forward to very much. Okay. All right. Have you ever had, and I have to ask this question too because it's important for performers, because I have a lot of people that listen to me that want to be a performer. There's bad experiences that go with this too. Have you ever had any really? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, this is part of the job, right? So you think you know what you're getting into, and then you get surprised, and you deal with what you've got. there's a famous jazz album from Keith Jarrett, and Keith Jarrett, basically what happened is he was booked to do this thing. He showed up in Germany, and the piano was all out of tune, and keys weren't working. And most of us would go, sorry, can't. But Keith sat down and played for 2 hours. And that got recorded and became his most successful, well-known bit of music, But and it's funny. I was just home for winter and visited the old Baldwin piano I grew up on, and nobody else had been playing it. So there's keys that stick, and not much was in tune or whatever. But I wrote 3 songs while I was there, and so I think some of this is like you never know what you're going to get, but you kind of go with what you have and do the best. Not everything's an ideal situation. What matters to me most is that you have as good of a situation as you can get, so that the audience really gets everything they deserve. That to me, that's what matters most. But no, if you give me a decent piano that's in tune, a baby grand or a grand, and and keys don't stick and it's in tune, then I'm good. I'm pretty good. And the rest is all, the rest is all fluff. We like the LED walls. We love putting images up. We do lots of fun interactive things with the audience. And sometimes, for example, I get someone up from the audience and who's never played anything before, and we write a song and we do a song together, just on the spot. And that's great. That's cool. And sometimes you get people that are wonderful at that, and sometimes you get people that are so scared. It's not the same, but it's not bad. It's never bad. It's all just different, and everyone has their own style, and it's wonderful to watch people kind of show up and give you, because you never know any given night what's going to happen, right? So it's wonderful to hear what happens when people just decide to play. It's great.
Okay. Listen, your YouTube channel and Facebook that I'm on, you have all kinds of videos. Where do those come from?
Yeah. I do those. I do
really?
them usually. Yeah, I do the videos to the music too, because I'm usually sitting around trying to chill out at night and watching something streaming and go, well, while I'm at it, and then I end up spending a couple hours doing a video. But that's just again just part of being creative, I guess. It just I know what the feel is of certain songs, and so I know what I want to do, and that's what I do, So those videos are mine.
Are you going to pass on what you're doing to anybody?
I talk to people about it, but it's I have some students that are aware of certain techniques that I use that are really unusual. But honestly, if you're in the audience, you're picking up on it, and what I say during any performance any given night will tell you an awful lot about what I do and how to go about it. And you'll find your own way then to take all that and do it yourself.
Okay. All right. So you are being booked. You have a booking agent. Does he do all your bookings?
He does definitely do bookings, but he's not the only one. So lots of people, I'm enough of a free agent that I don't have one agent specifically only. So I definitely can have other agents. And so we do that too. Have little side agencies that do that work. So,
well, do you want to leave a way for people to reach you?
The one of the best ways to reach me, my website is very easy. It's Kenton, Kenton, KentonCosmicMusic.com, and there you can see some more videos, learn more about me, find out how to contact me. So KentonCosmicMusic.com. And if you want to find me on Facebook and direct message me, I'm always open for that. When I have time to answer, I certainly will. And that is, this is a strange address, but it's facebook.com/Bowl, BOWL. Let's say that right, because we don't want to get the wrong thing. Bowl, BOWL, Bowl Sounds Info, INFO. And Bowl Sounds Info on Facebook is because I also was known for playing Tibetan bowls before they were popular. So that's why that address is what it is. But facebook.com/Bowl Sounds INFO will get you to my Facebook page, and then you can message me there directly anytime.
Hey, those bowl things I've never seen anybody do before. Have you? I mean, how did you get into that?
Well, I grew up when I moved to Phoenix a long time ago. One of my friends was a mystic who played Tibetan bowls, which there were almost nobody in the United States playing Tibetan bowls, and very few people did otherwise.
Right. Right.
And because she was a mystic, I knew I was into music and sounds and things. I was around her for quite a bit, and pretty soon I started playing piano to her bowls, and then I started learning how to play bowls. So I was doing that well before it was well known or popular. I was one of a handful of people playing it in the States, playing bowls in the States at the time. And then they started making crystal bowls, which were much easier for normal people to play. So that became a little more popular. And I learned a lot of what I do on the piano in some ways from the bowls, because I learned that I could affect people really deeply by how I would play a bowl and whether the bowls would play differently depending on who came in and who left. So I knew the energy sound work I was doing back then has now really been transferred to the piano, and I get to do it in a way that's easier for people to hear, much more harmonious, and still deeply relaxing, although people don't know why. When I'm pounding on the piano like Beethoven and they're getting relaxed, but it's the same kind of work. It's just done on a different instrument.
I will agree with you, Mr. Kenton. The whole world right now needs relaxation.
Yes, and we need to change the vibes,
yes.
And that is absolutely any piano show I do. That's what the show's about. We absolutely change the vibes of that audience, but we also, raise the vibes around the world. And when people share my music, they listen to it and share it, posts and things on Facebook and Insta and whatever, and YouTube. That's all good because we're spreading better vibrations. And boy, we need to be doing that right now.
And you sound like a mentalist. Gotcha.
Well, that's the thing, is like all of my life has really come down to, let's pour it into the music where it can do the most good. And
right.
And that's, I think we have enough people being fooled and tricked in the world. So I don't need to do that as much. I've been trying to convince mentalists and magicians for ages to actually make positive changes in people's lives and not just amuse them. But now that I've done that, it's time to, get more and more people to feel the vibrations without words, which we can do with the cosmic music and the piano show. So Kenton's Cosmic Music is really about that, is how do we really, really deeply change the vibrations of each person, but also everybody they touch and the world at large, because we need to be making a difference. And, words are failing us right now. And vibrations are the way to cut past all the craziness and the intellect and the nonsense going on and get to a deeper level to remind us of who and what we really are. And that's what my music's about.
Sounds good. I enjoy it. It relaxes me when I get tense, and believe me, Kenton, I get tense.
Well, I'm sure you do, and I appreciate your support of the music, and I love hearing your comments about pieces and what you like and what's working for you, because I always love hearing from people exactly what's going on with each piece of music and what difference it makes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'll get this up, and hopefully we can help some more people.
That sounds wonderful. I look forward to it. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, Kenton.
Bye-bye.